This week marks Child Passenger Safety Week, an effort to educate and keep kids safe in the car.
In fact, according to the CDC, you may not know, more than 700 children are killed in car accidents. That was in the U.S. in 2021. And among those killed, more than 36% of them were actually not properly buckled up. So the question is, what can you do to make sure that your child is safe and secure in your car? For more insight on that, we are joined by Anita from Trinity Health here in Michigan. We're so glad you're here with us. First of all, talk to us a little bit about the seats that you brought with you today and the different sizes, because I think that's always the first question that parents have.
Thank you. So first of all, thank you for having us. It is National Child Passenger Safety Week, and it's a week where we remind parents that when you get your child's car seat check first, you want to make sure that you have them in the right seat. And it's not just a one and done. Once you get that one check, you check it every year to make sure you're transitioning your child appropriately. So this first seat we have available is our convertible seat. So this one you can use from birth on up to the child reaches a certain height and weight, and then you can turn it around to face forward once you reach those limits. The next seat is, we call it our middle child, but it's our combo seat, so you can use that once you're done with your first seat, reach the limits. And it's a combination seat because you can convert it to a booster seat.
Okay, that's this one right here.
Yeah.
All right.
And then the next one is our booster seat. We really advocate for using that seat because what we're finding is parents transition their child out of one of these seats too soon, and the booster seat has many benefits. So what I do at our car seat checks is we place our kids in a regular seat with a regular seat belt. And then the child ends up putting the seat belt under their arm or behind their back, and then you're, correcting them. What the booster seat does, it helps to position the adult seat belt so it's not fitting uncomfortably, and they can continue to ride safely.
And they can actually be higher up where they're supposed to be.
It does. It boosts them up so it fits like an adult seat belt, and it just gives them a little bit more security as they're riding.
So when parents go looking for a car seat, what is the most important safety feature they should be looking at in the seat?
Well, the first thing we point out is make sure that your child matches the height and weight of the seat. So we say the safest seat you're going to use and the best seat for your child is the one that matches your child's height and weight, and the one you're going to use correctly every time. So if you're having trouble fumbling with the seat, it's probably not the best seat for you. So we say test it out first, and that way you'll use it safely every time.
And you mentioned one of the biggest mistakes parents make is actually transitioning out of a seat like this to a seat like this too soon, right? And when we're talking about weight, what are the weight limits and requirements for this infant seat?
So good question. Every seat is different though. So what you want to do is look on the side of the seat. There are multiple stickers on the side of the seat that the manufacturer provides, and that seat will have a particular height and weight. And that's why we say once you check the seat once, continue to check it at your well visits and check the child's current height and weight to their seat. The sticker will always tell you what limit can you get to before you transition them.
All right, what are some common mistakes that parents make when they install these car seats, and what can they do to overcome those?
Using all the straps on the seat, not necessary. So some straps are for the rear-facing mode, some straps are for the forward-facing mode. One thing we see is that a lot of the car seat systems come with a latch system and with the seat belt attachment. You're not going to use both together, right? So some of the seats have a latch system that's already built in. If you're going to use the latch, don't use a seat belt. And that's one thing we see often. Parents see straps, they strap them in. But, reading the manual, referring to the online videos will help you figure out which straps you need to use for which mode you're using the seat.
All right. So heading back to the booster seat question here, because this causes, there are so many questions. My youngest two are 6.
Okay.
And they complain all the time about still having to sit in the booster, which I do make them sit in.
Okay.
And that's a lot. That's a big question among parents, of children that age. Do you still go by weight and height?
You go by weight and height, and the booster seats have a very high limit on them. So if you're getting ready to transition into a booster seat, again, look at the sticker on the side. And Michigan state law says they need to be in our American Academy of Pediatrics says they need to be in some sort of child restraint until they're at least 8 or 4'9". In the back seat, when all the seats in the back are taken, maybe you can use a front seat, maybe turn the airbag off, but in the back seat, in some sort of restraint. So you're making sure you provide the best protection for your child while you're driving.
So these seats have expiry dates, and sometimes they're recalled. So if they are past their expiry date, what should a parent do?
Okay, so past the expiration date, we say it's time to swap out their seats. Actually, there are multiple times when you would swap out a seat. If it's in a car crash, if it's missing all of that information you need to operate it safely, or if it's expired, it's time to get a new seat. There are multiple resources in Oakland County in Michigan. If you go to safekids.org or even to stjoeshealth.org, you can find places that have resources to either swap out the seat or guide you towards the next right seat to buy.
And I'm sure parents ask you this all the time. How safe is it for a child, no matter, I mean, how old or how big, to be in the front seat or even, I mean, obviously the second row, right, is okay, but the front seat?
So again, I like to go back to the law. The laws were created based on the research and our crash reports. And a child under 4 years old really shouldn't be in the front seat because they have a lot of growing to do, and there are airbags in the front seat. So if you have to put a 4-year-old in the front seat, turn off the airbag because it can cause damage to the growth bones if they're in the front seat. So we want to make sure we try to keep them in the back as much as possible. If there's no back seat, then we just make sure we move the seat back that they're sitting in, and again, turn off the airbag because that airbag can cause damage if you're in a crash.
So is there anything parents should know when they're transitioning their kids from the one seat to the other? I mean, they outgrow that one. Is there these seats, is there anything really different between them, or is it the same thing? Put the child in, strap them in.
There is a lot of difference. There's a lot of difference between the two variations in seats. This one obviously provides a little bit more protection for your infant, in your newborns. It rides rear facing, and if I could drive rear facing, I would, because it protects your neck and your spine. So that's why we say, with this seat, put the infant in it, turn them to the rear, and they're actually the safest passenger in the car.
And we used to hear a lot about car seat accessories being safe or not being safe. Mirrors, parents hanging a mirror so that they can actually see, and you always worry about, are they choking, are they chewing on something they're not supposed to be? Are those safe, or should you get rid of them?
We don't recommend them. Again, it's always parent choice, but we do not recommend them. But we do recommend our parents coming to our car seat checks that we do twice a month. We do one at Bowman Chevy. We actually have one today from 12 to 3. You can go to stjoeshealth.org and sign up. We also do one in Pontiac at Star EMS. So Trinity Health does them twice a month, and you can also find other car seat checks throughout the rest of the month at safekids.org.
I always say defer to the expert.
That's right, always
This is
helpful.
so complicated.
It sure is. It's come a long way since my parents swaddled me and put me in the back seat, so that's good.
And somehow you survived.
Somehow, there's still a generation of kids out there. Car seat safety. Thanks a lot, Anita, for dropping by today. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it.